Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. Pavel Nedved once said, si può vivere senza calcio, ma non si può vivere senza Juventus. I can live without football, but I cannot live without Juventus. Why am I taking that old quote back on the channel? Because I needed a reason, I needed some power, I needed to find a motivation to be here, able to speak about Juventus after the horror show of yesterday, after the elimination of Juventus in Coppa Italia against Inter. Well, I can live without football, but I cannot live without Juventus. I have a good news, I have a bad news. The good news is that there is only one remaining game in the month of April. The bad news is that there is still one game to play in April, and I give you immediately a second bad news, is that after April, they will be the month of May. And today, we have no guarantee that the month of May will be better than the one of April. Yesterday has been a real disaster. We will speak about it from the initial mistakes of Allegri, from the mistakes of Allegri during the game, but also the ones of the players. Juventus FC yesterday totally disappeared and never showed up without giving me any second of the game the belief that we could do something, the belief of a fino alla fine. The fino alla fine lasted for 20 seconds and it was already over. Guys, I don't know if you did yet, but if you didn't, please, especially today, give me a lot of strength, maximum of likes if you didn't yet, subscribe to the channel if you didn't yet, because we will start immediately now. With the result of yesterday, you can see it clearly here, 1 for Inter, 0 for Juve. I don't want to stay too much speaking about the 1 on Inter, but I want to speak a lot about the 0 of Juventus. 0 on the score sheet, 0 that doesn't bring you to the final, but also 0 in everything that we saw yesterday. Starting with the initial choices of Max Allegri, that you know it, I am not someone that is blindly defending. I'm not taking part in Allegri out, Allegri in. I always try to find a balance, trying to understand the initial choices of a coach, always trying to find a why. And a why doesn't mean that it's correct, a why doesn't mean that it's equal to success, but at least there is a why, that I try to understand why we make some choices. Well, at midnight 2 days ago, when Giovanni Albanese, that is nearly always right with the predicted lineups, when he tweeted it, well, I saw the lineups and I didn't understand it. Lineups that later were confirmed by Max Allegri 1 hour before the game, with a lot of question marks. Question marks about why Bonucci from the beginning of the game, he didn't play a full game since November. Why no Fagioli? I gave myself an answer there, but especially why Kostic without any striker. I know that Vlahovic was not there. I know that Moiskin is injured. But why Kostic in that case, that we all know is a really disaster performance in the month of April, is really tired. He has no benzene, no energy anymore. But if you are playing with the only option to go to try to find Kostic with a cross and watching who is in the box, well, if you have no players into the box, then it starts really to be difficult. Also, the changes of Max were really difficult because you see it from the moment that he understood that Kostic was absolutely not performing. By the way, the goal that we concede is also partially because of him, because he's keeping everyone, especially Di Marco, online and not putting him offside, respecting actually the defense going up. Well, he's taking him out and he's putting Milik up front. Milik that would have 0 balls, really 0 interesting balls, and that's a really disaster. Initial choices, but also during the game. If you are looking then at the 3-4 or 3-5-1-1, when you see the average position of the field, you see clearly that Juventus played with 4 men in defense, with De Sciglio playing as a right back, with Kostic playing as a left back. You see that your only player that could potentially be dangerous was Miretti, because Milik was not there, because Di Maria was on the right side, because Chiesa was on the left side. 2 players with the most talent, with the most qualities on the field that totally ghosted the first half, but also the second half. The changes that were done in second half with some players like Pogba, Paredes, and so on, Danilo, well, when they entered, they were not able to ask Juventus to play a bit higher. Total disaster management. A Juventus that was without grinta, without intensity, without organizations, with too many injuries. We are speaking about the seasons, without goals in the month of April. And of course, we are not judging only the month of April, we are judging a season. Yesterday, before the game, you know it, in the video, I asked about a game without controversies, without crazy referee decision. I was asking for a game without problems. The problem is that they respected what I said. There was no controversy, there was no aggressivity, there was no will. Looks like they said we go in the Giuseppe Meazza and we give up from the first minute. Not even the first minute, because you all remember we kicked off the game, we had the ball, we give it to Kostic, Kostic give it to Alexandro, we are going back even to Perin. Perin after 23 seconds is doing the first bad pass of the game. And that's where you immediately understand that it's a disaster and that the night will be really long. Look at the momentum of the game. You see it from the 20th second until the 17 minutes, until the 15th minute where Di Marco is scoring. Juventus didn't play at all. They didn't play. And guys, if you need motivations to enter a semi-final return game against Inter, Derby d'Italia, well, there is a problem. A problem that is bigger than only yesterday. A problem that it's difficult to reset. A problem that I don't know today if we will be able to find some answers for in the remaining only game against Bologna in April, but all the games that are waiting in the month of May. If we spoke about Allegri, initial choice is bad, not able to motivate the team, not able to do the right changes, a total flop of Allegri yesterday, and in Gazzetta dello Sport they are correctly giving him a 4.5. Look, Perin, that I put yesterday before the game on the thumbnail of the watch-along, was man of the match with that big save that he's doing. If Perin, when you are not playing at all, is the man of the match, well, there is a problem. Bremer, that was not playing his initial position because you played with Bonucci, 4.5, disaster class of Bremer. Yesterday totally fooled also on the cancelled offside goal of Dzeko, totally fooled by him. Where is, and that's my question, where is the best defender of 22-20 or 21-22, the one that was able to win that award of best defender with Torino? A lot of disaster performances in Gazzetta dello Sport. Locatelli, Di Maria with a 4.5, Chiesa ghosted with a 4.5, a lot of 5s, De Sciglio, Kostic, Paredes. We had a lot of problems off the field, on the field, with the players that never give me the hope or the belief that we could do something. If we continue with Tuttosport, they are giving a right title, Allegri che pena. Allegri, what a pity, but you can also translate it because pena has a double meaning in Italian. In Allegri, what a shame. A shame, especially when you are going back to April, an April that because of Allegri and the team, you were able in believing in something, because after an initial total start of the season, with the words of President Agnelli that really described the situation, shame back then, you were able to stick together, all together, the word used by Juventus, uniti, and you were able to do some performances that were not top, but that at least were bringing you some results to arrive in the crucial month of April to play something important. The top 4, maybe even the top 2 in Serie A, forgetting of course about the Scudetto that has never been a possibility this year, but playing a Coppa Italia that would have brought back silverware into your trophy cabinet, but also believing in a Europa League. Well, in the month of April, like you can see, after the win versus Inter in the last game of March, you come back, you win. But how did you win versus Verona, refusing to play? And then a draw versus Inter, a loss versus Lazio, a win versus Sporting. Again, how did we win versus Sporting? Loss without playing versus Sassuolo, draw against Sporting, a loss versus Napoli, a loss yesterday versus Inter in Coppa Italia. Already one silverware that is out. Now, Juventus, what is the reason? They unplugged totally. They put the handbrake, they totally unplugged, and probably all the mental energy that they have spent in all the other months to keep believing in something, when the moment was there to really do it, not only believing but really doing it, well, they collapsed. Mentally they collapsed. They showed that they were weak. I repeat you the stat that we are speaking since so long, the 22 games this season where Juventus was able to was not able to keep a clean sheet, which that means we conceded a goal 3 times only. We were able to win, only 3 times. Well, mea culpa from the bianconeri. Mea culpa in Latin means my own fault. Yesterday it was our own fault. There is nobody else to blame than ourselves. The season is not over. The season is not over because we will have to play Europa League. But when I see the words of the vice president of Sevilla that is saying we have to go to Turin, with the ambition of getting a good result, and then on the return leg, with the atmosphere that there was against Manchester United, make sure that no one leaves the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan alive, well, you hear that it will be a big battle. Corriere dello Sport is titling Simone Boccia Max. Simone is beating Max, is making sure that he's not passing that test. I don't know if it was really Simone Inzaghi that yesterday beat Allegri. I believe that it's Allegri that beat himself with the team. Gazzetta dello Sport, Inter, bella di Coppa. Inter, beauty of cups. Beauty of cups. I didn't see a beautiful Inter yesterday, like I didn't see a beautiful Inter when they played in our home. Well, they go through, they have the right to celebrate, they deserve to go through, not Juventus, not because of Inter, like Gazzetta dello Sport was saying, beautiful, but because Juventus was really, really ugly. As in the double page of Tuttosport, they are writing, Juventus was slow and sad. And that was the feeling that I had watching the faces of the players. I saw sad players without any solutions. Another KO for Max, crisis to the Max. Yes, this is probably the truth. It is the big, big, big crisis. It is a big crisis, and I don't know if we will be able to rise again, or at least to show a bit of pride, because that's what we are speaking about. I'm not expecting until the end of the season to transform myself in a tiki-taka team that has now some offensive patterns. We have no goals. We don't know how to find our strikers, whoever is playing up front, Keane, Milik, Vlahovic, Chiesa, Di Maria. But we will have to do it with some pride. Is Juventus able to find that pride to finish the season in a different way that we watched yesterday? That will be the big question mark that we will see immediately at the end of the week, playing against Bologna, and then we start the month of May. A month of May that is obliged to be much better than what we had in the month of April. For the people that were here until the end of this video, well, you did more than what Juventus did yesterday, because you were here fino alla fine. Grazie, forza, Juve.